It was supposed to be a perfect night. My boyfriend Jake and I had just finished dinner, and since we weren't ready to go home yet, we decided to drive out to Maplewood Overlook, a secluded spot on the edge of town where couples often went to be alone. The night was foggy, with a full moon barely visible through the mist. It was eerily quiet, but we didn't mind. We parked at the edge of the overlook, a steep drop-off just a few feet away. As we started kissing, I felt uneasy, like we were being watched. I brushed it off, blaming the atmosphere. But then, Jake stopped suddenly. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. I froze. A faint tapping came from the back window. It was slow, deliberate. Jake turned, shining his phone's flashlight toward the window. There was nothing there, just fog and darkness. We laughed it off, assuming it was tree branches shifting in the wind. But then it happened again. This time, the tapping was louder, more urgent. We looked around, our eyes scanning the misty landscape. And then, we saw it. A tall, dark figure stood just outside the passenger side, barely visible through the fog. It was motionless, just watching us. I gasped, reaching for the door handle, but Jake grabbed my wrist. "Don't move." His voice was shaking. The figure didn't move either. It just stood there, an impossibly thin silhouette, its head tilted slightly. Then, it took a step forward. I screamed, and Jake slammed the car into reverse, tires skidding as we backed out of the overlook. The figure vanished into the mist, as if it was never there. We didn't stop driving until we reached the main road, our hearts racing. Later, I told my older brother about what happened. He turned pale. "You saw him?" Confused, I asked what he meant. He told me that years ago, a man had driven his car off that exact overlook after his fiancée left him. They never found his body. Since then, couples who parked there reported seeing a shadowy figure in the fog, always watching, always waiting. We never went back. And I still wonder, if we hadn't left in time, what would have happened to us? I was 18, and my girlfriend Sarah and I had just started dating. One night, we drove out to a quiet wooded area on the outskirts of town. The spot was perfect. No streetlights, no houses, just us and the stars. We were in the middle of kissing when Sarah suddenly stiffened. "What's wrong?" I asked. "I think someone's out there." I looked around, but all I could see was darkness and trees. "There's no one here." But Sarah was shaking. "I swear I saw something move." I turned on the high beams, and there he was. A man stood just outside the tree line, about 20 feet away. His posture was unnatural, his head tilted slightly like he was listening to something we couldn't hear. My stomach dropped. He was wearing a suit, but his face was completely blank. No eyes, no mouth, just smooth, featureless skin. Sarah screamed, and I immediately locked the doors and threw the car in reverse. As we sped off, I glanced in the rearview mirror. He was closer. Not running, not walking, just closer. We didn't stop until we got back to Sarah's house. We were shaking as we sat in the driveway, trying to process what just happened. The next morning, I told my dad, expecting him to laugh. Instead, he looked at me with wide eyes. "Son, you saw the faceless man." He then told me that for decades, people in our town had reported the same thing. A man in a suit with no face appearing near the woods. Some say he was a lost soul, a victim of a gruesome accident whose spirit wandered aimlessly. Others say he was something worse, a demon drawn to couples in vulnerable moments. We never went back to those woods, and to this day, I don't know if we escaped in time, or if he just let us go. It was my first real date with Matt, a guy I had liked for months. After dinner, we drove out to an old dirt road near an abandoned church, a place where kids went to be alone. The night was cold and silent. As we sat there, kissing, we heard it, scratching. It was faint at first, almost like leaves brushing against the car. Then it got louder. Screech. It sounded like fingernails scraping along the car door. Matt turned pale. What the hell is that? I swallowed hard. Maybe an animal? But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Then, bang! Something slammed against the trunk. Matt turned the key, ready to floor it, but the car wouldn't start. Then I saw them. Hands. Dark, twisted hands reaching up from beneath the car, clawing at the windows, the doors, the hood. I screamed, kicking the dashboard as Matt frantically turned the key. Finally, the engine roared to life, and we sped away, dirt flying behind us. We didn't stop until we got home. My hands were shaking as I got out of the car, and that's when I saw it. Long, deep scratches running across the car doors. The next day, we found out the truth. Years ago, a group of teenagers had been murdered near that church, their bodies left in the woods. Locals say their spirits still linger, seeking revenge. And that night, we had disturbed them. Making out in the car might seem like a thrilling, intimate escape, until something uninvited joins you. For decades, urban legends and real-life encounters have warned us about the dangers of secluded roads, empty parking lots, and dark wooded areas. From eerie shadow figures lurking just beyond the fogged-up windows to faceless men watching from the tree line, the chilling truth is that sometimes you're not as alone as you think. Imagine the thrill of the night, the hum of the engine cooling down, and the soft whispers of conversation, until a cold chill runs down your spine. A strange tapping on the glass. A shadow that shouldn't be there. The feeling of unseen eyes watching your every move. These terrifying real-life horror stories prove that what starts as a moment of passion can quickly turn into a nightmare. Whether it's ghostly apparitions, sinister stalkers, or something even more unexplainable, the darkness hides more than just secrets. Have you or someone you know ever had a spine-chilling experience while parked at night? We'd love to hear your story. Drop your experience in the comments below and let's uncover the truth together. If you love real horror stories, don't forget to like this video to show your support for creepy tales, share it with your fellow horror fans, and subscribe with notifications turned on so you never miss another bone-chilling story. Because the next time you park alone in the dark, you might not be alone at all.